Hey students, today we are doing paper 2 of February-March 2024. Let's do it. We have done first 14 questions of this paper in my previous video, and today we're starting from question number 15. So you can watch my previous videos for the first 14 questions from this paper. And let's start with question 15. The equation for the complete combustion for ethane is shown. The bond energies are listed. What is the enthalpy change for this reaction? So we have to calculate the delta H. Here the bond energies are given to us. Okay, so we have CH bonds. Okay, so this is ethane plus 5O2. Okay, so we have to first calculate the reactants and then the products, and then we will minus them. So as you can see that here, the bonds, we have CH, CH. In one molecule, we have two CH bonds. So in two molecules, there will be 4 CH bonds. So it will be 4 CH plus there is C triple bond C bond also. Okay, C triple bond C. So in two molecules, there will be 2 C triple bond C plus there are 5 O double bond. Oh, this is for the reactants. And then let's see the bonds in the products. In products, we have 4 CO2 molecules, 4 carbon dioxide are here. So in one carbon dioxide molecule, as you can see that there are 2 CO bonds in one carbon dioxide. There are 2 bonds in one carbon dioxide. So in one carbon dioxide, there are 2 OC bonds. OC bonds. So in 4 carbon dioxide, there will be 8 OC bonds or CO bonds. Okay, so we'll write this, that we have 8 C double bond O bonds plus in water molecule also, there are 2 water molecules. So in one water molecule, there are 2 OH bonds. So in 2 water molecules, there will be 4 OH bonds. It is like this. Okay. So now let's substitute the values. For CH is 415 plus 2 C triple bond C 837 plus 5 O double bond O 498. And here on the product side, we have 8 C double bond O 805 plus 4 OH. OH will be 464. Okay, and then we will calculate them. We have 4 multiplied by 415, it's 1660. Next, 2 into 837, it will be 1674 plus we have 5 multiplied by 498. 2490. Let's add all of them together. 2490 plus 1674 plus 1660. And it gives us the answer 5824. Okay, now let's calculate for the products. It's 8 multiplied by 805. It gives us 6440 plus 4 multiplied by 464. It gives us 1856. Add them together. And the answer is 8296. We'll minus them because to find the delta H, we will do 5824 minus 8296. Okay, so it will be 5824 minus 8296, and the answer is minus 2,472 delta H. This is the enthalpy change. Now, the thing is that this is the enthalpy change for two molecules of ethyne, as we can see that in the reactants, we have 2 moles of ethyne. So we have calculated this for 2 moles of ethyne. This is the answer for 2 moles of ethyne. So in 1 mole of ethyne, we have to calculate for 1 mole, we'll divide it by 2. After dividing by 2, the answer comes out to be B minus 1,236 kilojoules per mole. So this is the answer. Now let's go to the question number 16. Okay, now question number 16 is, in experiment 1, small lumps of limestone are added to dilute ethanoic acid at 40 degrees Celsius. The volume of carbon dioxide released is measured at regular time intervals. The graph of the result is shown. The volume of carbon dioxide released. Experiment 1, experiment 2. Which changes give the results shown in experiment 1? Now the results shown in experiment 1, let's see. Small lumps of limestone are added, okay, in experiment 1. So we'll write over here, then in experiment 1, we have small lumps and the temperature is 40 degrees Celsius. And in the other one, at regular time intervals. So in experiment 2, as you can see, it is less steep as compared to the experiment 1 curve. It is less steep. And if it is less steep, it means that this will be a bit slower as compared to experiment 1. So slower means that we will take large lumps, because if we are taking the large lumps, then there will be less surface area available. And if there is less surface area, then obviously the reaction will be slower. And for the temperature, we have to take 40 temperature, because otherwise the other options are 60, 60, and it's 60 means higher temperature. So here the rate will be faster at 60 if we take higher temperature. But here we don't have any other we don't have any temperature lower than 40. So 40 is, we will accept 40 temperature, and we are taking the large lumps, so that we have less surface area and the reaction will be slower. So this experiment 2 line is less steep. So that means the reaction is slow. The answer is A. Okay. Next we have question number 17. In the Habermas process, nitrogen and hydrogen are reacted to make ammonia. Okay, so this is the reversible reaction. The forward reaction is exothermic. Which conditions produce the maximum yield of ammonia? It means that we have to keep the system moving towards the forward side, forward or right side, to get more ammonia. Now, what we will do? Because the forward reaction is an exothermic, so it means we have to decrease the temperature. Because according to Le Chatelier's principle, if we decrease the temperature, then system will move towards the exothermic side. So if we want it to move forward towards the exothermic side, we have to decrease the temperature. So the temperature will be low. And what about the pressure? If we see the pressure is equal to the number of moles. The pressure is related to the number of moles. So we'll see that how many number of moles are present on each side. On the reactant side, we have total of 4 moles. And on the product side, we have total of 2 moles. So if we want the system to move at the less mole side, here we have fewer moles. And we want the system to move towards the fewer mole side. So obviously we will increase the pressure, because system will do the opposite. Whatever we do, system will do the opposite. So if we increase the pressure, system will move towards the side with less number of moles, because on less number of moles, there will be less pressure also. So we'll increase the pressure, so the system will move towards low pressure side or fewer mole side. So we'll increase the pressure. The answer will be B. Next question, number 18. The Oswald's process is used to make nitric acid. The conditions used in this process are, okay, so it's used to make nitric acid. The catalyst contains a transition element. The pressure of 10 atm is used. The temperature of 800 degrees Celsius is used. Which of these conditions are also used in the contact process? Okay, so which of these processes are also used in the contact process? In the contact process, we make sulfuric acid. Then there are certain conditions like we will take 450 degrees Celsius temperature. So this E is not 3 is not wrong, is wrong. Then we'll take the pressure of 2 atm. So this 2 statement is also wrong. And we will take the catalyst vanadium 5 oxide, which is vanadium is a transition element. So yes, we will take a catalyst, we'll use a catalyst, which is a transition element in contact process also. So the answer is 1 only. Now, question number 19. Hydrogen iodide is dissolved in water. Hydrogen iodide, as you can see over here, it is giving one ion, one positive ion, and one negative ion, one cation and one anion. Which row describes the final color seen when the solution is tested with damp red litmus paper and with acidified aqueous potassium manganate? Now what will happen? Okay, for damp litmus paper, it's red litmus paper, it's really easy because damp red litmus paper will remain red due to the presence of H positive. This H positive ion is also known as proton and it is responsible for the acidity of a substance. So if we have H positive coming out, so that means the substance is acid and that it will turn red litmus paper red. It will remain red. It will not turn into blue. So the answer is this, C or D. Now, if we see the acidified potassium manganate, now what potassium manganate does, the potassium manganate itself gets reduced and it oxidizes iodine because potassium manganate is of purple color, which is because of manganese plus 7. In potassium manganate formula is MnO4, and this is of purple color because in this, the manganese has oxidation state plus 7. And when, if manganese plus 7, when it enters or when we add potassium manganate in any solution which contains iodide ion, then what it does, it gets reduced. It gets reduced. It gains electron. Manganese ion gains electron and it becomes Mn2 plus. It gains an electron and it makes iodine to lose its electron. So manganese will gain and iodine will lose electrons. So it means that iodide ion will get oxidized. It loses electrons. And when iodine loses its electrons, what will happen? It is minus. Iodide ion is 1 minus. It has extra electron. So it loses its electron and become I2. It becomes iodine. And when it becomes iodine, again, potassium manganate color will turn colorless because it was purple because of this Mn plus 7 ion. But because of iodide ion will lose the electron, but it adds electron into the manganese because it's a reducing agent. It reduces manganese to make it manganese plus 2, which is pale pink in color. So almost colorless. So purple color of potassium manganate turns into colorless. So the answer D is correct. Yeah. Yes, one more thing here they're saying, which row describes the final color seen when solution is tested with aqueous potassium manganate, so acidified potassium manganate. So with acidified potassium manganate, it turns into colorless, but what it does to iodide ion turns iodine, and because iodine is brown in color, so yes, so here the answer will be C, because here they're saying that what colors will be seen into the solution. So the solution has iodide ion in it, and because the iodide ion it reduces manganese, it gives its electrons to manganese. So itself, it gets oxidized. Itself, it becomes I2, which is brown in color, brown solution. Iodine solution is brown in color. So that is why the answer will be C. Question number 20, which statements about aqueous ethanoic acid are correct? Now, because ethanoic acid is an acid, but it's a weak acid, so which statement is correct? Let's see. Which statement is correct about them? It can be produced by oxidizing ethanol with potassium iodide. It reacts with magnesium to produce hydrogen gas. It has an approximate pH value of 3. It produces ester called methanoate. So which statement is correct? It is produced by oxidizing ethanol. It is, but not with potassium iodide. Here we will use potassium manganate, acidified potassium manganate to oxidize ethanol to produce ethanoic acid. So statement 1 is wrong. Statement 2, it reacts with magnesium to produce hydrogen gas. Yes, that's a typical property of an acid, that whenever an acid reacts with any metal, it gives hydrogen gas. So this one is correct. Then statement number 3, it has an approximate value of 3. This one is also correct. Approximate means, see, pH 1, pH 2, pH 3. As we increase in the pH, it becomes weak. The acid becomes weak, 3, 4, 5, and 6, as it starts becoming weak. So approximate 3 pH means it is going to the weaker side. So this one is correct. It produces esters called methanoate. This is wrong because ethanoic acid will produce ethanoates, not methanoates. So statement 2 and 3 are correct. Option C is correct. Now we have question number 21 and 22. 21 is, which statement forms an acetic oxide? Very easy, because acetic oxides are formed from non-metals. And here, the only non-metal over here is sulfur. Which statement describes the properties of hydrochloric acid? Now, hydrochloric acid, HCl, is a strong acid. We'll see which statement is correct. Carbon dioxide is produced when limestone reacts with hydrochloric acid. Limestone is calcium carbonate. And this is also a typical property of an acid, that whenever an acid reacts with a carbonate, it gives carbon dioxide gas. So this one is correct. If we see the other options, hydrogen is produced when sodium hydroxide reacts with hydrochloric acid. This one is wrong because when sodium hydroxide, whenever an alkali reacts with an acid, it forms water, not hydrogen. Salt and water is formed. For the next one, methyl orange turns yellow in strong hydrochloric acid. No, methyl orange turns red in strong hydrochloric acid. Red litmus paper turns blue. No, red litmus paper, it remains red when dipped in hydrochloric acid. So all the other options are wrong. A is correct. It produces carbon dioxide gas. Question 23. Elements P and Q have the same number of electron shells. An atom of Q has more electrons in its outer shell than an atom of P. Which statements are correct? Now, as it is clearly saying that P and Q have same number of electron shells. Electron shells means they are in the same period. Because if they are in the same period, then they have same number of outer shell electrons. So P and Q are in the same period of the periodic table. This one is correct. Second, P has a greater tendency to form positive ions. This one is also correct. P has a greater tendency because the element which is, if the metal is present in group number 1, then it has more tendency to lose 1 electron as compared to 2 electrons. And that to lose 2 electrons, its tendency is more as compared to losing 3 electrons. So P, the number 3, statement 3 is correct. P has a greater tendency because P and Q, P, first we have P and then we have Q. So it means if they're in the same period, then maybe P is in group 1 and Q is in group 2. Then the element which is present in first group, it has greater tendency to lose the electron than element Q in group 2. Also, similarly, the element in the group 2 has more tendency to form the positive ions as compared to group 3 element. So P has greater tendency to form positive ions than Q. This is correct. Here it's written that Q has more electrons, so it means the Q is in the second group and P is in the first group. So the option 2 and 3, option C is correct. The statements 2 and 3. Okay. Next question number 24. Which substances react with dilute hydrochloric acid, dilute sulfuric acid to form salt that can be removed from the resulting mixture by filtration? Okay, so by filtration, we separate any insoluble solid. If we have any insoluble solid, then we separate the insoluble solid from a liquid mixture by doing filtration. So with salt or which thing will react with the sulfuric acid so that it forms an insoluble solid? Sulfuric acid gives SO4, which is sulfate ion. And which metal reacts with sulfate ion to form insoluble solid? So is it barium chloride? Barium forms barium sulfate. If we have barium, then barium will form barium sulfate. And barium sulfate is insoluble. All the sulfates are soluble except barium sulfate, calcium sulfate, and lead sulfate. These 3 sulfates are insoluble in water. All of them are solids, these 3 sulfates. So if we reacted with barium chloride, aqueous barium chloride and sulfuric acid, then it will form barium sulfate, which is insoluble. So hence, this one is correct. Then we have question number 29. Astatine is below iodine in group 7 in the periodic table. Which row describes the properties of astatine? Now, astatine is below iodine. So in group 7, we have fluorine, bromine, iodine, and then we have astatine. Okay, now state at room temperature. If we see the state at room temperature, then fluorine is a gas. Fluorine is also a gas, bromine is a liquid, iodine is a solid, so astatine will also be solid. So here we have a trend in the physical properties also from gas turning into solid. So astatine is a solid. And as for the reactivity, we know that the reactivity of the halogens decreases as we go down. It decreases as we go down. So astatine cannot displace any of the halogen. It cannot displace. So it does not displace chlorine, bromine, or iodine. Option D is correct. Next question, which property of copper explains why it is a transition element? Now, why copper is a transition element? Transition elements have variable oxidation states. They have variable oxidation numbers, variable oxidation states. So here copper forms copper 2 plus and copper plus. This one is correct. Next, brass is an alloy that is formed from copper and zinc. Which statements are correct? Now, brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. So which statements are correct? Brass, copper, and zinc all conduct electricity. Yes, they all conduct electricity. Brass is a compound of copper and zinc. No, because copper is a Brass is a mixture. Brass is harder than zinc. Yes, because we make alloys to give strength to the metals. To make metals stronger, we make alloys. So the answer is 1 and 3. Next, we have question number 28. The equation for the reaction of metal M with aqueous zinc sulfate is shown. Which statement explains why metal M reacts with aqueous zinc sulfate? Metal M is reacting with zinc sulfate. So as you can see here, that metal M is displacing zinc. Here, it is displacing, and displacing any metal, displacing metal means that that metal which is displacing the other metal, it has more reactivity, and it can oxidize more easily, or it can form the positive ions more easily. So if it is more reactive, number one, it can oxidize easier than the other metal, than the less reactive metal. It can lose its electrons easier. It can form the positive ion easier as compared to the less reactive element, less reactive metal. So which statement explains why metal M reacts with zinc sulfate? Zinc ions can remove electrons from M. Zinc ions, metal M will lose the electrons, and zinc removes the electron from metal M. Because M is neutral, and here zinc is in the +2 form. So what happens? Then zinc takes the 2 electrons from metal M. Zinc takes the electron, metal M loses the electron, and zinc, it makes M lose its electron, or it removes the electrons from metal M. And after removing, the zinc becomes zinc 0, it becomes complete, and the metal M becomes 2+, because it has lost 2 electrons. So zinc ions can remove electrons from metal M. This option is correct. Now we have question number 29 and 30. In the blast furnace, the impurity silicon oxide is removed by the formation of a slag. Which equation represents the formation of a substance which reacts with silicon oxide to form slag? Now, in the blast furnace, slag is calcium silicate. CaSiO3 is calcium silicate. Silicate, it comes from the impurity itself, which is silicon oxide. And from where this calcium comes? This calcium comes from calcium oxide. These two react to form slag. Now, calcium oxide, which equation represents the formation of a substance, formation of calcium oxide, which reacts with silicon oxide? So here, in option C, calcium carbonate is decomposing into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So it means this one is correct. Question number 30. Aluminium is extracted from bauxite by electrolysis. Which statement is correct? It is formed by electrolysis because aluminium is a more reactive metal. So which statement is correct? Aluminium ions are oxidized to form aluminium. No, they are not oxidized. They are reduced. Aluminium ions are reduced because we have aluminium 3+, and they gain 3 electrons to become aluminium. And the gain of electron is called reduction. The cathode has to be replaced regularly? No, the anode has to be replaced regularly because anode reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is produced at the anode. Cryolite is added to remove impurities. No, cryolite is added to decrease the melting point of aluminum oxide, or to decrease the operating temperature of the cell, or to make it a good conductor. So option C, that carbon dioxide is produced at the anode, is correct because anode is made up of carbon. And at anode, oxygen gas is produced, so oxygen reacts with the carbon at the anode to form carbon dioxide gas. And that's why anode need to be replaced regularly. So this is question number 30. We'll do the rest of the questions in our next video.